We're at the Mishnah on the bottom of Chavdal Damid Beis. Zok Eilige Mishnah, Maise, there was once a time, Shabo, Shnayim, V'omru. There were two Edom that came and said, Ra'inuhu Shachris, we saw the Levana in the morning. So the Rashi has two pshatim. Let's see first the second pshat that Rashi says, that it refers to the Levana from the previous month, when it was very small. So they saw the Levana from the previous month in the morning, B'mizrach, on the east side, and Va'arvis B'mayrev. And then at night, they saw already the new moon for the new month on Ma'ariv side of the sky. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said, Eidei Shekerein. They're not saying the truth. Because it's impossible. If you remember, we learned once before in the Gemara, there has to be a 24-hour period where the sun is concealed, where the moon, that is concealed. According to another pshat in Rashi, the second pshat Rashi says that what they saw in the morning, what they saw at night, was the same moon from the new month. And the reason why Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri said that they're Eidei Sheker is because the moon doesn't switch positions from the east to the west as quickly as they said that it does. Okay, well, most Rishonim learn like the first pshat that Rashi brings, which Rashi brings from the name of his Rebbes. So what happened? Then these same Edom came to Yavne and Kiblon Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel did accept these Edom. Another incident, Bo Shnaim V'omru. There were two Edom that came and said, Reinu Bizmane, we saw the new moon in its time. Whenever it says Bizmane, it means on the 30th day of the month. And then Ubaleili Burai, in the following night after the 30th day, Loi Nira. It was a clear sky and nobody saw the new moon. But nevertheless, for Kiblon Rabbi Gamliel accepted them. And I think it says the pshat is that he had already accepted them before. When they said Eidos, that they saw the new moon, he already established a new month. And then it comes at night and people are looking to see the new moon and they don't see it. But Rabbi Gamliel had already accepted them and he already established a new month. Amar Abdeisa ben Harkines, Eidei Shekerein. So Abdeisa ben Harkines said, these witnesses, the sheker, there's no new moon here. And he gave a mashal. How could he say a testimony on a woman that she gave birth? And then you see it tomorrow and you see that she's still pregnant. We see the new moon did not appear yet. Amalei Rabbi Yeshua. So Rabbi Yeshua says to Rabbi Doisa ben Harkinis, Roya ani es dvarecha. I agree to what you're saying, that this is a mistake. Should not be at the new Chaydish. Shalach lei Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Gamliel sent a messenger to tell Rabbi Yeshua, Goizrani alecha, I decree upon you, Shetava yetzli, that you should come to me b'maklacha with your stick, or b'maisecha with your money, b'yom kippurim shechaliyas b'cheshboncha. So apparently this was in Tishrei time, and Rabbi Yeshua said that you have to be mekadosh HaChodesh the next day, so that would delay Yom Kippur a day. So Rabbi Gamliel tells him on that day, you should come to me with your money, with your stick. What happened? So halach omotze Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Yeshua went and Rabbi Akiva finds him. The lashon of the Mishnah is not so clear. The Gemara will speak about it, but it means that Rabbi Akiva found him Meitzer. That who was Meitzer? Rabbi Yeshua was Meitzer. Rabbi Yeshua was upset about this. He's asking to have to go on the day that according to his cheshbon is Yom Kippur to Rabbi Gamliel. Amaloi. So Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Yeshua, Yashli lilmoid, I can learn from a pasuk shekol ma she'asa Rabbi Gamliel, that what Rabbi Gamliel did when he established a new month, asi. It's done. It took effect. Shenema, the pasuk says, Eila moed Hashem ekra kodesh asher tikra isam. What do we learn from this? Bein bizmanon, bein shaloi bizmanon. When Bezdin established it, whether it was in the right time, whether it was not in the right time. Ainli ela moedis, ainli moedis ela elu. We have the times for the Yomim Tovim, only this, what Bezdin establishes. So once it's established with Rabbi Gamliel, this is what it is. So therefore, don't worry, you can go to him on this time, and that's Taka the Yom Kippur, like Rabbi Gamliel said. He came to Rabbi Doisa ben Horkinis, which was the one that originally said that Rabbi Gamliel was wrong. So he said to him, So Rabbi Doisa ben Horkinis said to him, look, if we're going to come and second guess the actions of what Rabbi Gamliel did, so then we can come and start asking questions about every bezdin that there was from the times of Moshe Rabbeinu until now. Did they make the Chodesh in the right time? Are they paskening properly and so on? Shenemar, it's a pasuk that says, Vayal Moshe v'Aaron v'Nadav Avihu v'Shivim Miziknei Yisrael. So we know Moshe and Aaron and Nadav and Avihu, but then it says the 70 elders and it doesn't say their names. So why doesn't the Torah tell us their names? Shalskenim, from these elders. So El Alalamit, because it comes to teach us. Shekol Shloisha Ushloisha. Anytime you have a bezdin of 3, she'amdu bezdin al Yisrael, that there's a bezdin that stands up to judge Yidden in any generation, hareihu kebezdinoi shel Moshe. They're like the bezdin of Moshe. So Rashi says the point of here is anytime a person is going to come to second guess a bezdin, right, so we're going to say to him that, how do you know? Maybe the bezdin that judged you might think they're not as chashav as Moshe or Aaron or Nadav and Avihu, that it says in the Torah who they are and so on. But with the other 70 elders, you don't know who they were. So the bezdin that there is today is just as chashav as those other individuals that you don't know who they were. So Rabbi Daisa ben Horkenes was telling Rabbi Yeshua that you have to follow the psak din of Rabbi Gamliel, and you can't second guess him. So what happened? So no, Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Daisa ben Horkenes are telling him to follow Rabbi Gamliel. So that's what he did. Natal makli ma'asav, he took his stick, he took his money, biyad in his hands, v'halach liyavne etzer Rabbi Gamliel, v'yoyim shechaliyas, shechal Yom Kippurim liyas b'cheshbayne. On that day, that Yom Kippur came out in his cheshbon of Rabbi Yeshua. Amad Rabbi Gamliel, when he arrived, Rabbi Gamliel got up, v'noshke al roisha, he kissed him on his forehead, Amalei, and he said to him, Boi b'shalom Rabbi v'talmidi, come in peace, my Rebbe, my student. Rabbi b'chachme, my Rebbe in wisdom, he taught him Torah, and v'talmidi shekibalta es dvarai, and my student, because you accepted my words. Rabbi Gamliel was the nasi, and Rabbi Yeshua accepted his words and accepted his psak din. That's the story here. The Rebbe once spoke about this Mishnah, this whole story. It's in the Sikha in Chelek of Aleph, in Parshas Yisro, the second Sikha, and the Rebbe's mediyuk in the Mishnah is, and Mefarshim asked this question already, why does it specifically say that Rabbi Gamliel told him, come to me on Yom Kippur and bring your stick and your money? Why has he to bring his stick and his money? Why does the Mishnah have to mention that detail? Come to me on Yom Kippur, that he should walk out of the tchum, or he should come to him on Yom Kippur, but what's the stick and the money? So the Rebbe says, the Mishnah wants to point out that Rabbi Gamliel was telling Rabbi Yeshua, when there's a psak din of a bezdin, and you follow the roiv, or in this case you follow the nasi, or Rabbi Gamliel's bezdin, and you have to agree to what the psak din was, don't come begrudgingly. Don't come, schlep yourself, and come, Kabbalah soil, against your will. Come fully. Come with your whole metzias. Come showing that you fully agree that at this point, you're coming with your money, with your stick, like it's mamish completely Yom Kippur the way Rabbi Gamliel said. That's the diak of the Mishnah. Sagt the Gemara, huh? I guess Rabbi Yeshua taught Rabbi Gamliel Torah. Rabbi Yeshua, I think, was older than him, if I'm not mistaken. Tanya, Amalem Rabbi Gamliel lechachamim. Rabbi Gamliel said to the chachamim, Kach mekublani mi beis avi abba. This is what I have a tradition from my father's father. Pa'amim shababa arucha. Sometimes the moon goes in a cycle. It rotates the earth. It comes in a longer cycle. Upamim shababa k'tzara. And sometimes it comes in a shorter cycle. So Rashi in the Mishnah says that this is in connection to what it said in the Mishnah, that Rabbi Gamliel accepted the Eidim that said that they saw the old moon in the morning and the new moon at night, and there was only a 12-hour difference between when they couldn't see the moon. So even though usually we know there's a 24-hour period you can't see the moon, but what the Gemara now is saying is that that's usually. But sometimes the moon comes quicker and there's only 12 hours that you can't see the new moon. That's how Rashi explains it. However, most Rishonim disagree, because the fact is that the moon has the same cycle, and basically, at least regarding this, that you can't see it for 24 hours, and it doesn't change from one month to another. So therefore, you can't say that this is explaining the pshat in the Mishnah. So the Rishonim just say that this statement here is just a statement for itself. It's not explaining what it said in the Mishnah. He's just telling you a fact, that the cycle of the moon, there's different cycles of it, and sometimes it goes on this curve that it takes it longer to go around, or it's more of a longer cycle, and sometimes it's a shorter cycle, but it's not relevant to the halacha of the Mishnah. So what's taka the pshat in the Rabbi Gamliel in the Mishnah? If so, if taka the cycle of the moon never changes, so how could Rabbi Gamliel be Mekadesh the Chodesh with these Eidim that it sounds like they were saying a sheker? They said they saw the old moon in the morning, the new moon at night, and it can't be. So the Rambam in Pirush HaMishnah says, Rabbi Gamliel only accepted the second half of their Eidos. The first half of their Eidos that they said that they saw the old moon, that's not Negev to Kiddush HaChodesh. He wasn't even listening to that, Bachlal. He heard that they said that they saw the new moon. That's the Eidos that he accepted, and that's it. And apparently Rabbi Gamliel had, al pi cheshbin, he knew that it is a time that the new Mailad already happened. Even if could be it wasn't really visible yet, but it doesn't matter. He heard the Eidos regarding the new moon, and he knew al pi cheshbin that this is the time of Kiddush HaChodesh, so he accepted it. What they said about the old moon, that's not Negeya. That's how the Rambam explains it. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, my time at the Bei Rebbe. What's the reason? What's the source of what Rebbe says? Or others are going to say Rabbi Gamliel. And this point that Rabbi Gamliel just said about the different cycles of the moon. The pasuk says, there's the moon for the Yomim Tovim, and Shemesh Yada Mavoye. And Shemesh, he knows its ways. What does this mean? So Shemesh Udi Yada Mavoye. The sun has a very, very specific cycle that never changes, and that you know its way, its pathway. But when it comes to the moon, you don't know its pathway because it does change in the cycle of how it goes. Once Rab Chia saw the moon, in other words, this was the old moon of the previous month, that in the morning of the 29th of the old month, so the old moon was still there. So what did he do? So as the Gemara now is going to say, this was, Rashi explains, this was talking about Chof Tes Elul. And this was in a year that they had to make that night Aleph Tishrei already. Otherwise, Yom Kippur and Shabbos would fall out together, as we had before in the Gemara. Sometimes you have to make sure that the Rosh Hashanah is already that night. So the old moon was still there on the 29th in the morning. So that he wants the old moon to disappear and the new moon should be born already so you can make the Rosh Hashanah. So Shakal Kala, he began screaming. No. Shakal Kala means he took a piece of earth and he threw it towards the moon. And Omar, and he said, L'orte, at night, we have to sanctify the new moon. Vat kaim ishacha, you're still here, the old moon is still here. Zil ichasi, go and conceal yourself so we could be mekadosh the new chaydish for the new month. We learned before in the Gemara, if you remember, you ma'ayim the edim, you could have people come and say that they saw the new moon, even if they didn't really see it. If Bezin has a cheshbon that the new moilad actually already happened, so they could be mekadosh the chaydish. This is the incident with Rab Chia. So what happened? Amalei Rebbe le Rab Chia. So Rebbe tells Rab Chia, Zille Entav, go to the city, to the place Entav, and v'katche liyarche. And over there you can be mekadosh the new month. And v'shalach li semana, send me back a signal that you were mekadosh the new month. David Melech Yisrael chai v'kayim. And the signal you'll send me back is the pasuk David Melech, this statement of David Melech Yisrael chai v'kayim. So Rashi says, why is he sending him to Entav? So Rashi says two pshatim. One pshat Rashi says is in connection to the first part of the story here. Because people have still seen the Levana during the day, if he's going to be Mekadosh HaChodesh that night, so then people are going to come scream at him and say, hey, what are you doing? We just saw the old Muna. People are not going to let him be Mekadosh New Chodesh. So therefore Rebbe is telling him, go to Entav, where over there the people didn't see the old moon, and there be Mekadosh HaChodesh, and then you'll send me back the message that you did so. Another pshat Rashi says is it's not connected to the first part of the story. And Tav is because over here in the place where Rebbe was, there was a Gzeira. They had a Gzeira. There was a decree then that they can't be Mekadosh to New Chodesh. So he's sending him to go to Entav and do this. And here is the source of our minig that we say in Kiddush HaChodesh or in Bircha in Kiddush HaLevana, David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim. It's connected to this Gemara here. David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayim is because David is compared to the moon, just like a moon that it gets large and gets small and it disappears, like the Melucha of David HaMelech. Shehem Asidin L'Schadish Kamoisa. This is the source. Tana Rabbana, we learned in the Braisa the following story. Once there was clouds in the sky, and they saw like the shape of a Levana on the 29th day of the month. And so the people thought to say, no, today is Rosh Chodesh. Look, it's the 29th day, but we see the shape of a moon and it's Rosh Chodesh today. And not only that, even the Bezin was thinking to sanctify the new month on the 29th day. So we're always talking about the 30th day or the 31st day, but here was the 29th day, and they saw the new moon in their imagination, so they wanted to be in the Kaddish L'Chodesh. So Rabbi Gamliel said to them, this is the tradition that I have from my father's house. You can't have the birth of the new moon, pchusa, that's less, 29 days, and another half a day, in other words, another 12 hours, a shnei shlishi shah, another 2/3 of an hour, va'ayin gimel chalakim, and another 73 chalakim. This is what's known as Chavtes Aleph, again, Chavtes Yud Beis and Tash Tzag Chalakim. Right? Usually it's brought as Tash Tzag Chalakim, which is 793 chalakim. So yeah, Shnei Shishishla and Ayin Gimel Chalakim is Tash Tzag Chalakim. Anyway, so the point he's telling him is that from the previous Mailid to the next Mailid, you always have to have this amount of time. And then, when they wanted to be in the Kaddish L'Chodesh on the 29th day, apparently it was in that part of the day where it still did not have that time yet. So the Gemara says, what happened? On that day, the mother of an individual Ben Zaza passed away. She wasn't a Pesach, a very prominent, no one very special. But v'hispida Rabbi Gamliel hesped gadol. Rabbi Gamliel gave her a very big hesped. Not because she was deserving to be eulogized in such a way, but Rabbi Gamliel did it for this reason here. In order to let everybody know that Bezdin was not Mekadesh Chodesh that day. Everybody saw the new moon and they were sure Bezdin was Mekadesh the new Chodesh this day. So Rabbi Gamliel wanted them to know that no, if it would have been a Chodesh, he wouldn't give a hesped on a Chodesh. So because he gave this hesped, so that let everyone know that it's not a Chodesh. Now, going to the story over here with Rabbi Yeshua. So Rabbi Yeshua was very upset about the fact that Rabbi Gamliel told him he has to come to him on the day that's his Yom Kippur. So Halach, Rabbi Akiva, and Motzei Meitzar. He found that he was upset. In the Lashon of the Mishnah, it's not clear who's upset. Who is it that was upset here? Rabbi Akiva Meitzar? Rabbi Akiva was upset, or Rabbi Yeshua Meitzar? Or Rabbi Yeshua was upset? Tashem As, on the price it clearly says, the Tanya, Halach Rabbi Akiva, Motzei Rabbi Yeshua Keshu Meitzar. And Rabbi Akiva found Rabbi Yeshua that he was upset. Amaloi, Rabbi, Mipnei Mata Meitzar. Rabbi Akiva says to Rabbi Yeshua, why are you upset? Amaloi, so Rabbi Yeshua answers Rabbi Akiva, which was his student, Akiva, Roi Loi. It's befitting to this person, in other words, referring to himself, Sheyipel Emita Yud Beis Chaydish, that he should become sick and be in bed 12 months, Val Yigzar Olav Gzeirezu. And Rabbi Gamliel should not make this decree upon me that I should come to him on the day that's my Yom Kippur. So the Mefarshim say, why 12 months? Because if he's not going to come to him that Yom Kippur, he'll make a Gzeira and him come to me Sukkot, come to me Pesach. So he says, let me be in bed sick for 12 months, so I shouldn't have to go to him on a Yontif, that's my Yontif. Amaloi, so Rabbi Akiva tells him, Rabbi, my Rebbe, Tarsheni loimelu fanecha, allow me to say something in front of you. Dover echad, one thing, shalamadetani, that you actually taught me. Amaloi, Rabbi Yeshua said, Amor, say. Amaloi, so he said to him, Harehu oimer, the pasuk says, Atem, Atem, Atem. It actually doesn't say Atem, but it says Oisam. Different places that it says in the pasuk, Ashetikru Oisam Ikrai Kaidish, and so on, it says Oisam, but we read it Atem. What do we learn from this? Atem afila shaygigin, Atem afila mizidin, even if Bezdin b'shaygig established the month, and then the day that there was no, then it turns out that there was no new moon then, that the Eidim didn't say anything. Atam afilim mezidin, even intentionally, when they make the new month, even b'mezid on the day that there was no new moon. Atam afilim mutan, even if it was by mistake. So this is the drasha. So if you look at it, you see in this Gemara they bring another girsa. Instead of mezidin, b'mezid, their guidance over here, anusim. That's the Rambam's girsa, not mezidin, because it's very difficult to understand. If Bezdin b'mezid goes ahead and makes the wrong day, why should it be established? So the pshat in the Gemara is that the mezidin in the Gemara here refers to what we learned before in the Gemara. That sometimes there's no Eidim yet, but Bezdin will intentionally be makdim the Chodesh. If they have a cheshbon and they know that the Moiled is at this time and they don't want Yom Kippur to fall out together with Shabbos, that's the mezidin we're talking about. We're not just talking about mezidin, a Bezdin that's b'mezid making the wrong time. That's one point. So therefore, anusim, that's what the meaning of anusim is. Bezdin is sort of forced to do this because of the kviyas of Shabbos and Yom Kippur. And that's so even according to the gears of Mezidin, that's what it means. And B'chlal, the Mefarshim say that this whole thing of Atam Afila Shegim, Afila Mezidin, doesn't refer to just any random time. If you're going to come and then Tezvav Chodesh and be Mekadesh the new Chodesh, it's not going to take effect. It's referring to the 2 days of Lamed and Lamed Aleph, that within those 2 days, when the Moiled could be either Lamed or Lamed Aleph, when you could see the new moon, so then if whatever Bezdin does it, it's going to be Mekudesh. This is what Rabbi Akiva tells Rabbi Yeshua. So Amaloi Akiva nichamtani, Akiva nichamtani. He told him a double lashon, Akiva, you have consoled me, and that's as the Mishnah said. He went to Rabbi Gamliel.
What is the actual problem if Yom Kippur and Shabbos come out in that?
We had before in the Gemara, if a person passes away and then you can't do a kfura for 48 hours. Then he came to Abdoisa ben Horkenes, and Abdoisa ben Horkenes explained to him that you can't second guess the actions of a Bezdin in any generation. Tana Rabbanon, son of Raisa, we learned about this. Why doesn't it say the names of all the elders in the times of Moshe? A person shouldn't say, Pliny, K'Moshe v'Aaron. is this person like Moshe and Aaron? Ploini kenadav aviu. Is this person compared to Nadav and Aviu? Ploini ke'eldad ameidad. Could you compare this person to Eldad and Meidad, which the Torah says that they were Nevi'im and so on? So therefore, there's a Canaan that the Torah does not say, and therefore we see that there could be maybe they're like those Canaan. V'aymer, another source for this is the pasuk says, "Vayayim Shmuel elam Hashem asher asas Moshe v'Aaron." The Eibusha that performed the miracles for Moshe and Aaron. And Vayman there the pasuk says, "Vayishlach Hashem es Yerubal ves Bedon ves Yiftach." The Eibusha sends us other leaders with the names Yerubal, Bedon, and Yiftach. Who are ves Shmuel? Who are these people? Yerubal ze Gideon. This refers to Gideon. V'lo niknishma Yerubal she'asa meriva im Abal, because he made a fight with the Avodah Zarah of Baal. Bedon ze Shimshon. V'lo niknishma Bedon da'asim Bedon, because he came from the city Dan. And Yiftach kimashmoi. And Yiftach that was his name. His name was Yiftach. And then, what does the pasuk say afterwards? V'aymer, Moshe v'Aaron b'chayanov, u'Shmuel b'kayrei Shmai, that there's Moshe and Aaron, and then there's Shmuel, and Rashi brings that the Gemara is relying here on the continuation of the pasuk. It says afterwards, V'hu yaneim, the Eibishter answers them both. In other words, the pasuk is saying that the Eibishter answers Moshe and Aaron and Shmuel together. So what we learn from all of this is Shakal Akasav Shloisha Kale Eilam Kishloisha Chamure Eilam. The Torah is comparing the three that are the lighter ones, or the ones that are on the lower level in the world, to the ones that are on a much higher level. Leimalachat to tell you as follows: Yerubal B'Daira, Yerubal, which is Gideon in his generation, K'Moshe B'Daira, is compared to Moshe in his generation. Bedan B'Daira, Bedan in his generation was Ka'aron B'Daira, is compared to, which is Shimshon, is like Aaron in his generation. And Yiftach B'Daira is K'Shmuel B'Daira. And Yiftach is compared to Shmuel. The Lametcha, to teach you, Shafila Kal Shebekalim, even the lightest of the lightest people, that V'nismana Panas Alatzibur, but he's appointed to be a leader on the Yidden, on the congregation. He's like the greatest of the great. So 2 points here. First of all, the Mefarshim say that the main comparison of these people that the Gemara is really focusing on is regarding Yiftach, because regarding Gideon and Shimshon, they were really tzaddikim, right? Even if they weren't necessarily on the darga of Moshe and Aaron, but they were tzaddikim. For them, it wasn't necessary for the Gemara to emphasize this. Yiftach wasn't a tzaddik. Yiftach was the son of a Zaina, and he wasn't a tzaddik. But nevertheless, we say Yiftach b'Daira is K'Shmuel b'Daira. Another thing the Mefarshim point out is when it says Nismana Parnas Alatzibur, this doesn't mean that a person bought his way into becoming a leader, or he became a leader by bullying or whatever it is, not with not rightfully. Nismana Parnas Alatzibur means Al Pidin. He was Nismana in the rightful, proper way on a Parnas Alatzibur. Then we say this klal of Yiftach b'Daira K'Shmuel b'Daira. But otherwise, it doesn't apply. Someone that it's not Nismana in the proper way. V'aymer, Yeah, the lashon of Abisha Babirim comes from here. Yeah, this is the Gemara. Yeah. Yiftach b'Daira, K'Shmuel b'Daira, this thing? Can sein. V'aymer, then there's a pasuk that says, Uvasa el ha'kayanim v'alavim v'la'shayfet ashayir bayamim ahem. You come to the Kayan, the Levim, and the Shayfet that's in your days. Why does the pasuk have to say in your days? V'chisal al da'itcha sh'adam ha'ilach etzel adai and sh'loya yibiyamav. Could a person go to a judge that's not living in his times? So rather what the pasuk is saying is, ha'elach leilach el etzel shayfet shebiyamav. So a person has to go to the shayfet that there is in your days, meaning that a person should know that this is what there is now and this is who you got to go to. There is no one else. And we have to rely on them just like the shayfet of before. V'ayim, another pasuk says, Al Toima, don't say, Ma haya shahayamim arishayim ayayamim tovim eila. Don't say that in the earlier days they were better from today, that then I could listen to the shayfet and today I can't listen to a shayfet. Yeah, even if you talk, in other words, pasuk here is not saying that in the shayfetim that there are, you don't see any chesronis and they don't have chesronis. They may have. It's the emes. Yiftach was not Moshe. But nevertheless, the Torah is telling us that if it was Nisman al Pidin, so then you have to accept his psak din the way it is from the shayfet in your generation. The Mishnah said, "Not al makle ma'isa biyadeh." Rabbi Shua took his stick and his money and he went to Rabbi Gamliel. Tana Rabbanan kivin shara yisai. Rabbi Gamliel saw him. Amad mikisi. He got up from his chair and noshka al reisha and he kissed him on his forehead. Amalei said to him, "Shalom alecha Rabbi v'talmidi. Peace to you, my Rebbe and my student. Rabbi shalamatani Torah. He taught me Torah berabim. Taught him Torah and berabim. Rabbi Gamliel was one of his students. V'talmidi shani geizer alecha gzeira. I decree upon you a gzeira to come to me, and you fulfill it like a student. Ashrei Yadai, fortunate is the generation, Shakdailim Nishmaim Liktanim, that the greater people listen to the people that are smaller than them when they're supposed to. And Kal V'chaymer Ktanim L'Gedailim. And there's a Kal V'chaymer that the Ktanim listen to the Gedailim. So the simple pshat, the way it seems what the Gemara is saying is that the generation is, for sure the generation should be fortunate for the fact that Ktanim listen to Gedailim. So the Gemara asks in this, Kal V'chaymer? This is a Kal V'chaymer that for sure the generation is fortunate for this, that Ktanim listen to the Gedailim. Chiyuvahu. That's an obligation. That's a given. Of course the Ktanim have to listen to the Gedailim. That's not a special mila that the generation is fortunate for. You could say the generation is fortunate that even Gedailim listen to Ktanim when it's necessary. That's a chiddush. But why are you saying for sure the generation is fortunate that the Ktanim listen to the Gedailim? Ella, so the Gemara says, no, the Kal V'chaymer is different. Mitoich sha'gedolim, nishmam liktanim, that is, when the great people listen to the people that are smaller than them, when it's necessary, neisim ktanim Kal V'chaymer ba'atzmam. So then the ktanim make a Kal V'chaymer for themselves, that for sure they should be listening to the gedolim when they're supposed to listen to the gedolim. That's the Kal V'chaymer. Hadron Allah, chemeino makirin. This concludes the second Perek of Masechta Rosh Hashanah. We continue the third Perek, and this Mishnah here is actually the very last Mishnah that's going to discuss the halachas of Kiddush HaChodesh. It's actually interesting, the Mefarshim point out that it's very interesting that this Mishnah starts a new Perek. It seems like it belongs to the previous Perek, so starting from the next Mishnah on Daf Chavav begins all the halachas of Rosh Hashanah. Sagt the Mishnah, Ra'u, Bezdin v'chol Yisrael. Bezdin and all of Klal Yisrael saw the new moon. Nechkiru Eidim, and the Eidim were interrogated. So as the Gemara is going to explain, this is another case when not everybody saw it, but the Eidim were already interrogated. V'lo yispiku leima mekudesh, but Bezdin didn't get a chance to say mekudesh, to be mekadesh the new month on that day, on the 30th day. And it was at night already. So now you add a day to the month, and you have to be mekadesh tomorrow. Ra'u Bezdin bilvad. If only Bezdin saw the new moon, there's no Eidim, but the Bezdin themselves saw it. So what do? Yamdu shnayim v'yidu b'fneim. So from the Bezdin, they should take two, and they should be Eidim, and they should testify. V'yoimru mekudesh, mekudesh, and then the people that hear will say mekudesh, mekudesh. Ra'u shloisha. If three people saw the new moon, and v'heim Bezdin, and they are the Bezdin, so yamdu ashnayim. So two of them should be Eidim, v'yeshivu machavereim etzel hayachid, and then they should add and bring another two people and combine them with the one person that was there. And v'yidu b'fneim, and they'll say Eidim in front of them to sanctify the new month. And v'yayimru mekudesh mekudesh. She'ein hayachid nemel al yidei atzmai. One person is not believed to sanctify the new month the same mekudesh. You have to have a bezdin at least of three. Zog the Gemara, Lamali lemisner ra'u bezdin v'chol Yisrael. Why does the Mishnah have to say that not only the bezdin saw the new month, the new moon, but all the Yidden also saw the new moon? Why is that negayah to add? So the Gemara answers, and we had this before in the Gemara, it's a chiddush here. So because I would think to say, Bezdin, since Bezdin, Vichol Yisrael, and all the Yidden saw the new moon, so now it's already been publicized that this was the new moon, so they shouldn't push it off to the next day. Kamash Malan, that's what the Mishnah is saying, that no, since they were not Mekadesh a new month, you have to wait until the next day. If the Bezdin and all Yidden saw the new moon, why do you have to then have Eidim and interrogate Eidim? So the Gemara says, this is what the Mishnah is saying. It's another case, not the same case. Another case, or if there were Eidim that were already interrogated, and they didn't get a chance to sanctify the new month until it was dark, so it's pushed off to the next day. But now the question is, why do we need two cases in the Mishnah? The Kivin, the Tana, if it already says regarding the first case, why does it have to bring the second case that they interrogated Eidim? We need the second case. Because I would think to say, to have a chakiris Eidim ketchilas din. Once you already interrogated the Eidim, it's even more than just the fact that the Bezdin and the whole Klal Yisrael saw. That's already the beginning of the judgment of the new month. Mekudesh, and then when Bezdin announces and it sanctifies the new month, Kigmardin. That's only the conclusion of the judgment. And therefore, V'lekachi balayla. Maybe if they already started the judgment daytime, they could conclude it nighttime. Why? Midi dahava dinim mamanis, we should compare this to the halacha that we find when it comes to judging in money matters. Titnan, there it says in the Mishnah, dinim mamanis danim bayayim. The dinim mamanis are judged only daytime, but v'gaimrim balayla. If the judgment began by day, you could conclude it at night. So maybe over here I should say as well that once they started interrogating by day, they can be mekadesh it at night. Kamashmal, that's what the Mishnah is saying, that even if you interrogated the Eidim by day, you can't be mekadesh by night. For the Gemara, maybe you should be allowed. And for the Gemara, the pasuk says, Ki chayk li Yisrael u mishpat l'lekei Yaakov. And we had before in the Gemara, this goes on Kiddush HaChaydish. So emes chayk. What does chayk mean? Chayk means when it's already established. So this is bigmardin. This refers to the Gemara. That's when you say mekudesh. And the kakarile rachmana mishpat. And in the same pasuk it says that this chayk is also called a mishpat. So ma mishpat bayayim, afachanami bayayim. So if mishpat is only by day, so the chayk of establishing the new month is only by day. Then it said in the Mishnah, Ra'u bezdin yam d'shnayim v'yidu b'fneim. So if the bezdin saw it, so two have to say testimony in front of the rest of them. Fragt the Gemara, but why? Va'amai lo tehei shmiya gedayla miriyah. If they all saw it, so hearing the testimony from Eidim should not be better than the fact that they saw it. Abzeire said, Kagoyin shira'u balayla. They saw it the night before, so therefore, because there's a hefsik to the time when they're going to be mekadesh l'chaydish to the next day, so the fact that they saw it the night before is not good. The next day they're going to have to say testimony of this. That's what Rashi here says. Then it said in the Mishnah, Ra'u shloisha ve'im bezdin yamdu shnayim v'yeshivim mechavreim etzla yachid. That you have to have other people to combine to this one person in order to be mekadesh the new month. So again, the question is, if three people saw it, why shouldn't I say that the fact that they saw it is good enough? Now the chit tema, you're going to give the same answer. They saw it at night, and therefore the next day you have to combine other people. But hainu hach, it's the same point as we said before. What's the chiddush of this case here? So the Gemara seife itzrichalei. No, there is a chiddush here. The ein ayachid neman al yedei atzmai. That you can't rely on one yachid to be mekadesh the new chiddush. That's the chiddush here. What's the chiddush? So I would think to say since it says in the Mishnah dinei maminis b'shloisha, that when it comes to judging in money matters you need three. But if it's a person that's an expert, l'rabim, so then dana fila b'yachid. Even one person could judge dinei maminis. So I would think maybe here also, if it's an expert, one person could paskin and say that it's a new month. Kamash malan, that's what the Mishnah is saying, that one person can't make the new month. Maybe one person could establish a new month. So the Gemara, no. There's no greater mumcha for Klal Yisrael than Moshe Rabbeinu. The Kamalei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Eibusha tells Moshe Rabbeinu, that Moshe has to combine Aaron HaKohen with him. So therefore, just like there, you have to have Aaron and Moshe, and then two is not good. You always need a third by a bezdin. A bezdin can't be two people equal; it has to be three. So therefore, you can never have one; it has to be three.